Hi, everyone. We will be getting started in just a minute. We're going to let everyone, others, have an opportunity to join and get settled. We will get started in a couple minutes. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, YSC sisters. I'm Ni Chang Liang. I'm an adult lung doctor, and I'm also a meditation teacher, qualified mindfulness-based stress reduction instructor. And I've been teaching pretty much since about a year after my diagnosis, which is going to be almost 9 years ago. I had triple negative breast cancer, and it reframed the way that I take care of myself. And since then, I've incorporated mindfulness into my own daily practice for self care. And also, I teach mindfulness to my patients, as well as to all levels of healthcare professionals, from trainees all the way up to healthcare administrators. So I am so honored to be with you today. We're going to start off with a settling meditation. And all you'll need is to be in a seat of comfort. And these bells will start and end any exercise that I introduce during the session. So closing eyes if you think that would serve, or lowering your gaze a few inches in front of you. Checking in with your spine alignment, making sure that your head is atop your neck, atop your shoulders, atop your hips. Inviting you to bring your shoulders up to your ears and slide your shoulder blades down towards your back pockets. We oftentimes wear our shoulders like earrings, especially during times of stress, causing a lot of pain, discomfort in the upper back and in the shoulder area. Allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to fully arrive in this moment, ready for our Meditation Mondays for the next 30 minutes to be fully present for yourself and for each other. Noticing the contact between you and the supporting surface that you've chosen to sit on. Perhaps noticing the support of the ground, the chair, couch, the bed, cushion. Knowing that That support is unconditional. Gently blinking open eyes, letting the light back in, taking a moment now to notice how you feel compared to just a couple of minutes ago. So, what we'll do today is some gentle mindful movement, and then we'll have a little Q&A towards the second half of the session. And what I cue in terms of movements, if it's known to cause pain or does cause pain, the invitation is always to come back to your resting seating posture, which is just like this. So you're coming back to your resting sitting posture. If there's a movement I cue that causes pain or discomfort, or that you know causes pain or discomfort. And closing eyes if it might serve you, or keeping them slightly open, softly gazing. I'm going to invite you to bring your right ear to your right shoulder. Then mindful movement and simply noticing the sensations of the movements, and to go through the movements in a slow, deliberate, and intentional way. Noticing the stretch in the left side of the neck. And as you're ready, bringing your chin down to your chest, letting your head hang heavy, giving the back of your neck a good stretch. Simply paying attention to the sensations of the movement and the sensations of the end posture from the movement. And as you're ready, bringing your left ear to your left shoulder. Stretching out the right side of the neck. Noticing the stretching sensation. And knowing that if any thoughts, other body sensations, or emotions capture your attention, simply acknowledge that and bring your attention back to the sensations of the movement or the posture that your body's in. And as you're ready, bringing your head back to a neutral position. Next, I'd like to invite you to look up, tilting the crown of your head back very gently and slowly, being very careful and intentional with this posture. So much of our quarantine days might be filled with a lot of screen time and hunching over phones and computers. Reminding yourself to look up once in a while. Noticing the stretch sensation of the front of your neck. And as you're ready, bringing your head back to a neutral position, slowly and deliberately, as if you're moving through molasses. We're going to now do a very gentle seated twist. So bringing your left hand to your right knee, bringing the right hand behind you, beginning to look towards your right and turning to look over your shoulder. Perhaps inhaling to sit a bit more tall and exhaling to deepen the twist. Being very, very mindful of what your body is telling you as you're doing this. If there's any pain or discomfort at all, back out slowly and gently. Noticing this gentle twist in the low and mid back. Inhaling to straighten and exhaling to deepen this twist just a little bit more. And coming back to a neutral sitting posture. Perhaps checking in and noticing whether the right side of the top of the body feels a little bit different than the left side. And bringing your right hand to the left knee or the left thigh, left hand behind you, gently inviting yourself to look over your left shoulder. Noticing this gentle twist of your low and mid spine. Simply coming back to the sensations of this twisting movement. Inhaling to straighten and exhaling to deepen the twist just a little bit. Simply noticing the sensations. And as you're ready, coming back to a neutral sitting posture. Inviting you now to stretch out your wrists. A lot of us spend a lot of time typing, working on computers, keyboards, using our thumbs when we're on our phones. So let's give our wrists a good stretch. So taking your wrist, your left wrist, pointing your fingers down from the left wrist, extending your arm out, and gently using your right hand to push the palm and the fingers of the left wrist back a little bit towards you. Opening up the palm side of the wrist. Noticing the stretching sensation at the wrist. And as you're ready, flipping the hand over so that your left hand fingers are now pointing down towards the ground. And you're going to push gently against the top of the left hand, giving the other side of the wrist a little bit of a stretch. Noticing the sensations of this movement and posture. And as you're ready, switching hands so that you're going to bring your right hand outstretched so that your wrist is facing towards the ceiling, fingers pointing down, bringing your left hand to clasp over the palm of the right hand and the fingers, giving your right wrist on the palm side a good stretch. Noticing the stretching sensation of the wrist. And as you're ready, flipping your hand over so that your fingers are again pointed towards the ground, but the top of your wrist is now facing towards the ceiling. You're going to use your left hand to push against the top of your right hand, giving the other side of the wrist a stretch. Simply noticing the sensations of the stretch. Knowing that mind wandering is completely normal. That's how our brains were built. But knowing that we can retrain our brains and exercise our brains to refocus on what we tell it to. So in this case, it's focusing on the stretch at the right wrist. And then coming back into a neutral sitting position, checking in with your wrists, perhaps your arms, noticing how they feel now compared to just a couple minutes ago. And as you're ready, closing eyes once again, or lowering your gaze a few inches in front of you. Checking in with your body and how it might feel now compared to before this gentle mindful movement practice started. Knowing that gentle movements are also one way that you can practice mindfulness. Simply paying attention to the sensations of movement, to the sensations of stretching without judgment and with compassion. Blinking open eyes, letting the light back in. We have a couple minutes left, and so I would be happy to take any questions, whether it be through raising your hand or through the Q&A chat box. What questions do you have for me? Mary says, feel free to raise your hand or submit a question. Well, while we're waiting for some questions to arrive, I wanted to let you know that we know exercise helps to reduce the recurrence of breast cancer. And also, there's more data to suggest that exercise helps to reduce the likelihood of a very serious complication of coronavirus. So we're learning more and more that exercise is really, really, even more so now, beneficial for your body. So I encourage everyone to, if cleared by your physician, to engage in moderate intensity exercise, 30 minutes most days of the week, to help reduce the chances of recurrence and to reduce the chances of serious complications from coronavirus.
We did get a question. Well, one, before we jump into the question we just received. So when you say exercise, like, can it be just a walk? What, is it the 30 minutes? What would you say is the ideal, not ideal, but, especially with someone that's going through treatment, kind of what can work for exercise?
Yeah, so 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise. So you brought up a excellent exercise is walking. So walking at a brisk pace. So if you were talking while you were walking, you should be breathless. That's the type of rate and intensity of walking that I mean by moderate intensity exercise. So not like a leisurely stroll. While a leisurely stroll could be very peaceful and stress reducing, to really work on the circulatory system of your body. So making your heart work a little bit. Try to do moderate intensity exercise that you would be breathless if you were speaking at the same time. Of course, if cleared by
Okay,
your.
awesome. And then if, let's say, I guess it just is kind of a, there are some days where if someone can it's just kind of get to do the best you can, if they just, for whatever, they're struggling today and can only do 15 minutes of, is that fine? Sometimes other days are rougher than others.
Absolutely. So some exercise is better than no exercise, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. There are studies that show that any amount of exercise is beneficial. So highly recommend anything, even if it's just a quick walk down to the mailbox and back.
Awesome. Okay, so to the question that we received, do you have any advice on refraining from judgment while doing this? I keep judging my body's response to movements if I feel discomfort, etc.
Yeah, that's a great question. So judgment is what our brains are hardwired to do. Our brains are hardwired to notice the negative way more than the positive. And so with mindfulness exercise, we are literally trying to change the neural circuitry in our brains and change the way that our brains are wired so that we can pay attention to the positive. So, to that question, I'd say you are not alone. We are very, very hard on ourselves oftentimes. And so, with mindfulness, one key component of it is to just simply notice without judgment whatever arises, even if you are noticing that you're judging the judging, which is actually quite common. It's totally okay and it's completely part of your full experience. And to invite a sense of compassion when you do notice the judging. You can label it simply as, oh, I'm judging myself. Oh, if there's discomfort, I can back out of it a little bit. That's okay. I'm listening to my body. My body is sending me helpful cues. And then there's also another way that you can um, reframe the judging is when you do notice the judging, you can label it, but you can also bring a sense of gratitude that you can notice the judging, that you can actually participate in some of these gentle movement exercises, that you have a body that you can feel that is able to move for you. So bringing a sense of gratitude for what is good in this moment.
So, kind of bouncing off of that, because the second you were talking about how the judgment of judgment, my brain just, I'm like, oh, the snowball effect of just if you're sitting there and you just don't feel, I don't want to say productive, but you're not being productive, is it best to kind of get up and reset and try a little bit later? How to combat that just snowball of the brain can't turning off?
Yeah, so the brain not being able to turn off is in mindfulness literature and also Buddhist literature actually called the monkey mind. And this is the hardwiring that our brains have um, inside. And basically, it's a way of the brain to help you look for danger. And with coronavirus pandemic, it's kind of all around us, even if it's not in our immediate reality. whatever we turn on, the news, social media, it's everywhere. So we're kind of immersed in that, and our bodies are trying to protect us from the danger. And so it's making us go through these not necessarily very productive loops of thoughts that snowball and compound and catastrophize on top of each other. And while the brain might think that it's helping you, it's not really serving your physiology, because when that happens, your anxiety and your stress level goes up. Even if there's not an actual impending threat at your door, the body reacts in much the same way. So I like what you recommended, Mary, in that you take a moment to reset. I'm going to introduce a acronym to use in that situation, but the key is that you catch yourself in that situation, and that's where the mindfulness comes in. Is we're training our brains to notice faster when we start going into thought patterns or behavioral patterns, emotional patterns, thinking patterns that are not serving us in that moment. That's where the mindfulness muscle can come in. That's what we're building. And then to use the mindful batting practice. So B stands for breathe. So we were just engaged in a lot of mindful breathing. A is to attend. So attend to your own needs. So what is it that your body needs right now? Is it just a quick walk to get a cup of tea? Is it 3 deep breaths? Is it a break from screen time? Is it simply just getting a snack? Maybe you're hangry. And then T is to then transition into greater skillful action, as opposed to our habituated automatic reaction. So B for breathe, A to attend, and T to transition. And that takes about 30 seconds just to check in with yourself, reset very briefly, and then to do what it is that you need to do to help you have a better response with stress.
Awesome. I just wrote that down because I will need that.
I don't see any. Yeah, I don't see any other questions. So unless you have anything else, so we can wrap up. Thank you to everyone that joined us. We hope that this mindful moment kind of helped you find a bit of Zen. It will be available on our Facebook page and our videos if you need it. If you need a midweek kind of check-in, it's there for you. We'll be here next Monday. And thank you so much. As always, thank you so much. And have a good week. Okay, let me. All right, I think we are done.
Awesome.
Yay. My brain just went like at the end, my brain just went like of just coffee. So the monkey brain took over. The monkey brain took over on that one.